Is Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg from the new North London Synagogue. Rabbi, very good to talk to you this afternoon. How is your community there processing what has happened again, as it were, today?
Thank you for including me, and you're right to stress the word again. This is shocking, but it's not surprising. There have been a series of attacks which feel like a coordinated endeavor to intimidate the Jewish community wherever we are over the last period of time. I must say my first thoughts are with those who've been so severely injured, who wish them full and good healing, and all who are traumatized and all who are involved in this horrible attack, who wish them strength and appreciate the work of Shomrim Hatzalah, the CST and the police.
How vital, how crucial are those community groups now, do you think?
They're absolutely vital. But as the Prime Minister said, this is also an attack on Britain. It's an attack on the Jewish community in particular, but on Britain, on our values of working together, of tolerance and of inclusion. And I must reference the incitement of constant hate speech directed at the Jewish community and directed also at everything to do with Israel, not just its particular government or actions, which has created a climate for violent acts, and violent acts lead to attempted murder, and indeed, as we saw in Manchester and in New Zealand, to killings. So every level of society here needs to be involved, from the Prime Minister through to the police, through to interfaith leadership, and through to civil society, because this is not the kind of country we want to live in. And the hatred that starts with attacking one group will go on to attack others as well. So all of us need to be deeply, deeply concerned and strengthen our bonds with one another.
What practical steps would you like to see the government taking?
Well, to be sure to prescribe hostile organizations and make sure that the intelligence is there to prevent such actions as we have seen over the last period of time, to strengthen the policing, but also to encourage and deepen the commitment of faiths to each other, and be absolutely clear that this is of concern to the whole of society. And those words need to be backed up by the right actions as well.
But what do you see those actions as being? You talk about prescribing particular organisations. We've seen, for example, the Iranian ambassador called in because there was concern about some things that have been put on social media. But short of sending more police out on the streets, what physically can the government do?
Well, unfortunately, sending more police out on the streets is sometimes necessary, and it is necessary at this particular time. I see that in my own community. I see the presence there, and it is reassuring to people, and it is essential, but also being sure that organizations that threaten this country with terror, be they targeted at the Jewish community or other communities, are prescribed and are prevented, but also working to encourage a greater cross-community cooperation and communication, to understand that every level of society needs to be engaged in stopping anti-Semitism and all forms of racist hate.
What are people telling you in the Jewish community about how they are feeling today?
So what I pick up is a sense of, on the one hand, vulnerability, on the other hand, a deep resilience and commitment to our community and to our Jewish life, a refusal to be intimidated, an awareness that it is a dangerous and very difficult time, and of course a sense of being vulnerable wherever we are.
And how is the community coping with that feeling of vulnerability, being out and about in London, especially if you're displaying anything that is openly Jewish?
I mean, some people feel that they can't, that it's too dangerous, that they're not allowed as it to be who they really are in this society anymore. That's a very disturbing trend for us as Jews and for everybody. Other people are courageous and defiant and determined to be and show the fact that they are Jewish, and I admire that courage. But the most important thing is that people are part of our communities, find the solidarity and the support and the resilience that Jewish communities have always showed to one another and to their host societies throughout the ages.
How difficult are you finding it to be a leader in the Jewish community at the moment?
There needs to be a note of support and encouragement, of an awareness that as Jews we have lived through very difficult times, our ancestors lived through worse, and deep solidarity. I think it's very, very important to reach out to anybody who feels alone, to students on campuses, to older people, the attack was not far from the Center of Jewish Care, which reaches out to so many vulnerable people, and to be as reassuring as possible while also telling people to be as vigilant as possible.
You talked in your first answer about those severely injured today. I wondered if you had any personal knowledge of their condition at all. We know that they are both, we believe, in a serious condition or a stable condition, but do we know any more than that?
I'm reading the same news as you are sharing with the public, so I don't know any more. I understand they've gone to hospital and that their condition is said to be stabilized. I really hope that's true, and I pray that they will have a full and complete healing. And of course, for people who've been through this and people who've witnessed it, it's not just healing of the body. In Jewish tradition, we also pray for healing of the soul, of the trauma and the impact that this has on their lives and on everybody around's lives as well.
Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg from the New North London Synagogue, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.